tonight I'll be speaking on Camaragal land, and I've had a lot of time out upon this land, but tonight I'll briefly be speaking about sort of all the time I've been lucky enough to spend in nature throughout Australia. And so here on the right, you can see this is a tree in northern New South Wales, which has been estimated at being about 5,000 years old. So in terms of listening, I'm sure this tree would have a lot to say, and it would have seen some vast changes across the landscape and throughout time. And here are a handful of just simply amazing places that just have so much power within them, and so many different species within them as well. Up in the top left is a photo from Kakadu National Park. And then on the right is a place that many of you have probably been to quite recently even, Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park. And then Cameron's Corner down the bottom in the middle, and then Cabbage Tree Island off Port Stephens as well. So, you know, these are just a few places that I've been lucky enough to visit and survey and sort of spend time understanding the story of the land. And that's, to me, what biodiversity really is. It tells the story through time, and it really builds upon you know, time that we cannot even begin to sort of understand. When I first heard about FEN, it was sort of a shock to me and something I hadn't heard of before, but was very, very glad to hear. I guess my perception of it and experience was that, you know, throughout time particularly, and even now, that there's this idea of competing faiths, and that, you know, the idea is to, you know, I guess, not outdo, but, you know, to have significance within a particular area. But I was very glad to hear of this, because really what we should be striving towards is more a shared appreciation and a shared wonder of the natural world. And that is definitely a common feature through most religions. And so it's really good to have that, I guess, strengthened upon and realized, and have that space where everyone can come together and bring their different contexts to, I guess, appreciate, respect, and take action for nature. And for me, you know, nature is definitely a place that I can, you know, basically spend all my time in. And, you know, whatever human problems we give ourselves or busy our time with, nature always has some sort of inspiration or guidance when you look at it, the way that species can interact and share their space. You know, I've seen so many trees that are growing upside down inside a cave with no light and probably a drop of water every day at the very most. You know, and if that's not perseverance, then I really don't know what is. And then, of course, there's this idea that throughout time, there's this increasing complexity of life on Earth. And so, you know, that is all worthy of existence, no matter where you think it's come from, you know. And so I think that's the really great power that religion has, is that, you know, to respect that existence and to respect all of that and really be appreciative of it. So very quickly, I've put a few photos together of animals that I've seen in the last year that are, I guess, good examples of just the truly wonderful creatures that exist within Australia. This one here is an Australian buckadam. And so, as you can probably tell, it spends its whole life in the mangroves, and then on a low tide, it goes around through the mangroves and looking for fish to eat. And so it sort of is quite a unique snake in that regard within Australia. There's not that many aquatic snakes, definitely not that many that eat fish as well. So again, a very unique animal and definitely worth protecting. This is one which you might have actually seen its relative in the news in the last week or two as a new species from Wollumben. And so this is the pouched frog. So I don't have too long to go into it, but basically the adult male stores the tadpoles in little pockets that he has on the side of his hip, and the tadpoles turn into frogs inside the pocket of the frog, which is just truly incredible. You know, it doesn't need a body of water or anything like that. And then this bird here has no close relatives whatsoever, and it's called the plains wanderer. And so that's found down mainly in the Riverina area, and then occasionally up in Queensland, but then also down in Victoria. And it has no close relatives. It sort of looks a little bit like a quail or a button quail, but it's actually sort of closer related to shorebirds, which, you know, migrate all around the world, but as the name suggests, they sort of stick to the coast. And this bird was basically mythical until the 1980s. No one really knew how to find it or anything, but it is, you know, such a stunning bird, just really, really beautiful. And then this very cute animal here is an eastern pygmy possum. And they're another animal which, until relatively recently, was sort of mythical in a way. One would get seen every now and again, but now there's sort of a bit more knowledge regarding what they do and how they spend their time, and they're actually quite incredible. That you can just see its tail in the bottom of this photo, and what they'll do is throughout spring and summer, they feed up a lot on flowering plants, so, you know, a lot of Banksia species, and a lot of invertebrates. Their tail gets fatter and fatter until it's wintertime, and because there's a shortage of food, they'll go into a sort of hibernation and store all that extra fat in their tail, and then basically have a really long, really good sleep for a few months until it's warmer again and there's lots of food around. But yeah, that's sort of the last photos that I had to share with you guys tonight. But I just sort of encourage you all to really immerse yourself in nature and, you know, take the time to think about, you know, whatever problems you have on your mind, and think about, you know, what nature can do to really show you the way.
Jayden, thank you so much for that presentation, and your passion for protecting and understanding and getting to know our Australian fauna. It just oozed there. So thank you, Jayden, for that, and for giving us your tips to actually just go out and be in nature, because we are all connected. It's the interconnectedness that I really sensed that you've brought to your work. So thank you, Jayden.